Cash App from Q1043, and you are rocking to WICR.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Sports on the Fly, the final edition before spring break. Ian Sachs here, Rob Jiggity joining me today. Ken is not here. For anyone who is looking for Ken, he is going to be on a big boat for the next week, going to the Bahamas. So, while he's enjoying himself there, Rob Jiggity and I are holding down the fort, and glad to have you here, Jiggity.
I appreciate the enthusiasm. That was just an enthusiastic intro.
Yeah, you have to be energetic about just sports in general, and great time of year. I think March is probably my favorite month for sports. Granted, March Madness is the be-all and end-all for me, so I cannot wait. Selection Sunday this Sunday, but you also have the NBA going on, the NHL is going on, baseball spring training, the season's right around the corner, NFL free agency, so a lot of things going on. And Jiggity, you and I were planning what we were going to talk about, and you said you want to go NBA first, and you mentioned Kyrie Irving, and I cringed. And why is that?
Because he scored 57 on your Spurs.
Great game, though. I mean, overtime thriller. The Cavs pulling a 3-point win out over my Spurs. Matchup of two great teams, but just an unfortunate result.
Yeah, Kyrie was just hitting all kinds of shots from all kinds of angles. Left-handed, fadeaways, jump shots, floaters. He was just doing his thing out there.
Yeah, looking almost LeBron-esque in just the way that he was, couldn't miss. And really in the zone. Of course, I liked it because it was two great basketball teams competing at a high level, and that's what you like to see in the NBA. Of course, my Spurs didn't win it, but still got to look at, last year in the finals, beating LeBron, so that kind of made this one a little easier to swallow. But how about Cleveland? Everyone was getting on them early in the year, saying, "Oh, the Cavs aren't gonna do anything," and that there are problems there. Cleveland 42-25 on the season, winners of 7 of their last 10, 3-game winning streak now, and I feel like this Cleveland team is showing what everyone thought that they would be capable of.
Yeah, ever since that J.R. Smith and Iman Shumpert trade, their bench just got to another level. LeBron just started playing well. LeBron just started playing like LeBron the last month and a half. Kyrie's been Kyrie all season. And Kevin Love is just trying to find himself in this offense. So everything's clicking at the right time for Cleveland.
Yeah, I'm really surprised at how well the Iman Shumpert J.R. Smith trade worked out for them, because now, granted, I knew that they had a weak bench, and I knew that was one of the downfalls of Cleveland, and that they didn't have the role players that the Miami Heat had when they won their championships. But I like Iman Shumpert a lot. I think he's a really good, high energy off the bench and really does a lot of the little things. But I am not a fan of J.R. Smith, and I was afraid that he was going to be a ball stopper like the way that he was capable of doing in New York. But really, I think he's worked out very well for this Cleveland team.
You've seen J.R. Smith the last year and a half evolving his game. Before, like you said, he was a ball stopper. No one liked to play with him. And now he's trying to pass the ball. He's starting to be better on the pick and rolls with the big man. He's starting to pass better. J.R. Smith is really becoming a solid role player for Cleveland right now.
Yeah, I think his unselfishness has really been the reason why Cleveland has been doing so well, because when you're playing with the caliber of players like LeBron and Kyrie and Kevin Love, you can't be a role player and expect to get 10 to 15 shots a game. It's just not going to work out. Those shots have to be saved for the stars, and that's what he has accepted in his role in Cleveland, and really one of the reasons why they are doing so well.
Yeah.
But they're still 9.5 games back of the Atlanta Hawks. So the Hawks, the only team in the NBA to have clinched a playoff spot already, and Cleveland right now a game and a half ahead of Chicago for the number 2 seed, 2.5 ahead of Toronto. So with the way that this Cleveland team is playing, are you confident that they're gonna keep in the 2 spot, move up? Do you think they have a chance to catch Atlanta, or do you think that one of those other teams might jump ahead of them?
The way Chicago's been playing without Butler and Rose, they could come up on that 2nd spot. I don't see Toronto doing anything because they've been terrible the last weeks. The last couple of weeks, Toronto's been struggling. But I could see them staying in the 2nd spot because, barring a tragic month for Atlanta, they probably would not come up on Atlanta's spot.
Yeah, I just going with Toronto for a minute. They have been playing very poorly as of late, but just 1 of 9, 1 win in their last 10 games. But the thing with Toronto is that they're in such a weak division, the weakest division in the NBA, that they can slip off and they might not even have to win another game, and they could probably still win the division because, the Celtics are bad, the Sixers are bad, the Knicks are bad, the Nets are somewhat decent. They might be able to make a little bit of a run at the playoffs, but right now, sitting a game and a half out of the 8th spot. So the Nets are, the only team that really might give Toronto a little bit of problem in the division, but the Raptors really have it, and the Bulls, without their 2 stars in Butler and Rose, I feel like this team can put together a pretty good regular season, and they really have done that. But what gets me nervous is come playoff time.
Yeah, playoffs is where the stars come through. The stars win you games in the playoffs.
And, we saw that with Chicago a few years ago. I think the first year Derrick Rose was out, injured, they got the 1 seed in, or either the 1 or the 2 seed in the Eastern Conference, and it was pretty amazing that what they were able to do, and then come playoff time that they couldn't win a game. It was a big struggle for them, and that year really made me realize how much the stars have to shine in the playoffs, and really without Derrick Rose, Chicago's not going to go far at all.
Honestly, unless Jimmy Butler could come back and be that guy for them. He's been that guy all year for them. We'll see if Jimmy Butler could come through in the playoffs and be that 20, 25 points per game scorer that we've seen this season.
Now, with Jimmy Butler, what is his prognosis? How likely do you think it is that he's going to come back?
They said he'll be out for 1 to 3 weeks. I mean, no, 3 to 6 weeks. So he should be back right before the playoffs, maybe 1-2 games before the playoffs.
Okay.
Hopefully.
All right.
Hopefully for Chicago.
That's good, but the one thing that then you might worry about with that timing is if Chicago plays well and is rolling through the end of the regular season until he comes back, he might mess up their rhythm a little bit, which then could hurt them. So yes, you do get a star back, but if you're playing so well without a star, that could mess up the rhythm a little bit. Do you see that could happen with this Chicago team?
Definitely. It's a very thin line they have to walk. They have to make sure Butler gets back in his rhythm without disrupting the whole team's rhythm as a unit. So they should insert Butler slowly. I don't know if they don't have enough time to maybe insert him slowly. Maybe if they could win their first game in the playoffs without him, maybe insert him slowly. Maybe he can get back his rhythm and he can win them a series.
Yeah, with the way that the Eastern Conference is so weak,
yeah.
When you look at, the Indiana Pacers right now are the 7th seed with a record of 30-34. So, we're probably going to see maybe 2 teams in there with sub 500 records.
Yeah.
So that might make the 2 seed that much more desirable for Chicago because they'll have to play a weaker team, probably a sub 500 team. So if they can use that as sort of an extension of the regular season and nurse Jimmy Butler back into the rotation, that could actually really help them. And playing instead of playing right now the 6th seed who's Milwaukee 34-31, that's a 3.5 game difference between Milwaukee and Indiana. When you're playing around the 500 level, those few games makes a big difference.
Yeah. Milwaukee would be scary to play against without a healthy Jimmy Butler and a healthy Derrick Rose. Because Milwaukee has those young stars, those young legs. They're ready to run. And Giannis Antetokounmpo has been playing well the last couple of games. Career high against the Pelicans the other day. Yeah, that team could be very scary to Chicago without their 2 stars.
Yeah, this year's Milwaukee team reminds me a little bit of Atlanta last year, of a young team, up and coming. Not many people expected them to be anywhere near, competing in even the Eastern Conference, which is significantly weaker than the Western Conference. Yeah. But still, they've really put together a good season. And, hey, look at what Atlanta's doing now. Last year was kind of just the start of it, and now they're really excelling.
Yeah.
I mean, so I think that a matchup for any team with Milwaukee in the playoffs could be scary because they are so young and looking to run and gun that after playing an 82-game slate, then having to run and gun with, 22, 23, 24-year-olds.
Yeah.
When you have, a roster that might be more centered around 28, 29, 30-year-olds, playing 4, 5, 6 straight games against that young and athletic team, that could very well lead to a big upset.
Yeah, especially because they got Michael Carter-Williams in that trade. Michael Carter-Williams' first time in the playoffs. Maybe he could propel that team to past the first round. And they got all these role players that have been playing well all season. Milwaukee could be very scary.
I look at Carter-Williams now, maybe a little bit like Derrick Rose. I mean, not Derrick Rose. John Wall last year. Another team, young and inexperienced, but, the catalyst for the offense in the point guard position, and bringing that team into the second round as the Hawks beat the Bulls last year in the first round and then gave the Heat a very strong, the Pacers? Yeah, the Pacers were the 1 seed. Yeah. Given the Pacers, pretty much all they could handle in the Eastern Conference semifinals. So, the Milwaukee is not going to be a fun matchup for whoever they face in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
And, so Jiggity, that was great at looking at the Eastern Conference playoffs. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back, break down the Western Conference, look ahead to, my Spurs a little bit after this loss. What can we expect from them, and really, how can they compete chasing the Warriors and the other young guns top teams in the Western Conference?
WICR